it's me, Minty. I'm finally back again. After my last video, I immediately knew this would be the next one. But this topic was hard to talk about. I knew what I wanted to say, but just not how to say it. I made a community post about this problem, asking for video ideas while I tried to come up with a good script for this one. Naturally, I ended up realizing how to build a script like 5 minutes after that post went up. But I still appreciate all the video suggestions. That is, if I got any. I don't know. Because I'm writing this a few minutes after I made the post. But with that out of the way, I think we should get to this video's topic. As we all know, Warrior Cats has multiple series called arcs. 6 books where we follow a new story. Each of these arcs has its own set of main characters, and we get to follow them as they develop and mature. In the current arc, which I recommend to anyone who hasn't read it yet, we follow Frostpaw, Sunbeam, and Nightheart. There are also a lot of beloved background characters in the series, like Greystripe, Dustpelt, Ferncloud, and Briarlight. However, these last few arcs, most people seem to agree that the quality of the background characters is going down. We don't get deep dives into the personalities of cats like Spotfur and Lightleap, or at least not in the same way as we got with Briarlight and Ashfur. And up until Power of 3, I can assure you, every ThunderClan cat had their own distinct personality, whereas today, half of them are blank slates, who only exist to fill up space. A lot of cats only say a line or two during a whole arc, and cats like Leafshade haven't appeared in over 2 years. And no, I'm not joking. Her last appearance was briefly in The Place of No Stars, and her sister Honeyfur hasn't had a single mention since River. The story team repeatedly relies on old characters to keep the plot interesting, because the new characters have nothing to them. That's why cats like Squirrelflight, Bramblestar, and like half of the Power of 3 cast remain more relevant than the new characters. A lot of people blame this on the population growth in all the clans. And rightfully so. In Eclipse, the first book to list all cats, the total number of characters was 114. In the latest book, Shadow, that number had grown to 163. That's a 70% population increase. Clearly, characters need to get killed off. I say a total population of around 120 books would be good. But it's my belief that population isn't the only problem. If we got rid of the unnecessary characters, we'd be getting rid of a lot of characters that were never really there in the first place. So it wouldn't have too much of an effect overall. So, even if we fix the population issue, the background character problem will still be there. So, what can be done then? Well, I'm glad you asked. The main problem is that there are too many main characters. We have 3 of them, all in different clans with their own relationships. Now, having 3 or more main characters have been a thing since the Power of 3, so why hasn't it been a problem until the last few arcs? Well, that's because the system used to work when all main characters were in the same clan. In Power of 3, ThunderClan had around 28 chapters per book to develop its characters. In Omen of the Stars, I believe it was around 24 chapters. Wanna know how many chapters they have today to develop? 8. It's not weird the background characters today get pushed away when they only have 1/3 of the time the older characters had. Especially since a lot of those chapters are spent forcing the main character to have their story intertwined with another main character from another clan, further taking time away from potential character development for cats like Goldswoop or Eaglewing. If you, in Power of 3, wanted to talk with ThunderClan cat, Hollywater, let's call her Hollywater. If you in Power of 3 wanted to talk to her, you could have Jayfeather go up to her one chapter and say, "Hey, let's talk about mice." "Yeah, let's do that, mice are very nice." And then in the next chapter, you could have Hollyleaf go and talk to Hollywater as well. "Hey, like mice?" "Heck yeah, everyone loves mice." But today, Nightheart would only briefly think, "Yeah, Hollywater likes mice." And then if Sunbeam wanted to talk to her in the next chapter, She'd have to sneak out of Shadow Clan territory and meet a Thunder Clan patrol and be like, I want to talk with Holywater about mice. But the patrol will say no, and Sunbeam spends 4 chapters trying to contact Holywater about mice. My point is, characters had a lot more chances of appearing in books when their clan had the whole 24-chapter book. A character in Thunder Clan who appeared 6 times in an Omen of the Stars book would only have time to appear 2 times today. And that's assuming our main character won't go out and do some half-clan mischief. So, how should we reform the current point of view system? Well, I propose something simple. Something so simple that you should feel stupid if you hadn't yet guessed what I would propose. Something so simple you should have seen at least one person, at least one, suggest this before. Listen closely. We have the same system, but with 2 main characters. I know, revolutionary, please clap. Having 2 main characters instead of 3 will contribute to the series in so many positive ways. First of all, the main characters get more chapters to develop. Time that would have been spent doing a main character half-clan romance Brizzroot Sunnight style would instead be spent on better things. Because trust me, the story team would not make both protagonists have a half-clan relationship. We would get to spend more time with our main characters and get more attached to them, and they would get more room to develop. And that is not just for the main characters. This counts for the background characters as well. The amount of background characters that need to be included goes down by a lot, while the chapters that can include them goes up. Now you, in case you're a deeply uneducated person with no brain, might say, well, Minty, I did the math, and each protagonist would get just 4 more chapters per book each. What can you even do with that? Now, 4 more chapters per book might not sound like much, but multiply that by 6 and you have 24 chapters. This is a whole book, in case you don't know. So if we just have 2 main characters and keep the same amount of chapters in the books, then that means our main characters would each get extra chapters equivalent to their own book per arc. I don't know about you, but I think it's kind of a big deal. If any Warriors arc added an extra book, let alone 2, the fandom would go crazy, because that's a lot of content. So instead of saying, ew, only 4 more chapters per book, think, wow, each protagonist will get extra chapters equivalent of a whole book if we do this. Or, wow, each character gets 300 more pages per arc at their disposal. I've had this opinion for a while, but what finally made me want to sit down and make this video was the current arc, A Starless Clan. I can't, for the life of me, understand why Nightheart is needed as a main character, especially when the drama important to the overall plot is going on in Shadow Clan and River Clan. And I can't help but think of what we could have had Sunbeam and Frostbob been the only main characters. We would have lost nothing, but would have gained so much to the story. We already have the potential in both River Clan and Shadow Clan with their background characters. Imagine if we got 4 more chapters for each of them, or around 50 or 60 pages. It seems small, but it could be used to add subtle characteristics to characters, or expand on major characters. I'd love to see more of Goldswoop. In fact, I feel like she's kind of robbed as a character. Now that I wrote that down, I'll definitely have to make a video on that. Please remind me in case I forget. We could get more time exploring Icewing, or developing Mistpaw or Greypaw. Remember, these are filler chapters, unused. You can do whatever you want with these. But the one I think the most of by far, when I think 4 extra chapters, is Berryheart, who in my opinion is one of the most complex and interesting antagonists we've had in a really long time. Imagine if we could see more of her and add depth to her character. It's clear the situation with Darktail scarred her deeply, and while it is mentioned, I don't think the books have developed this enough. Berryheart lost her at the time only Kit in a brutal way. A lot of her friends died, and she almost lost her home. On top of that, I can't imagine the guilt she must be living with, knowing that she contributed to the almost destruction of her own clan. Now, I have hope they will bring more of this up in Thunder, considering this book apparently has 370 something or so pages. And also clues indicate that shit is about to go down in ShadowClan. The arc that by far shows how the current point of view system isn't working is the Broken Code. Here we have a complex, filled story divided into 3 characters that live completely separately. Not only that, but these cats live in the 3 biggest clans, so they have a total of over 100 background characters. On top of that, the story also works hard to intertwine Bristlefrost, Shadowsight, and Rootspring stories, making more time be spent on that than in any other arc. If you go back and read the arc, you'll see the Broken Code had the most surface level characters out of any other arc. The deepest, most complex, previously unexplored cat, not counting the main characters, would be Spotfur. And I like Spotfur, but we never got to know her on a deeper level. And the minor characters are just there saying stuff sometimes. And our main characters didn't have time to develop proper relationships in their own clans, a thing that is very important in a story. Honestly, I just think the Broken Code wasn't made for a 3 main character arc. It's too complex, and it would have been better to just have 2 main characters. If I had a say, I would have removed Rootspring as a main character. And I'm sorry, Rootspring fans, I promise there's a good reason. Number 1. The story important to the overall plot was shared by him and Bristlefrost for the most part. The rebels, journey to the sisters, the dark forest, etc. Bristlefrost can take care of these things alone, like a girl boss. Number 2. SkyClan's story was more irrelevant than ThunderClan's or ShadowClan's. Obviously, you can't remove the point of view from ThunderClan, that's where all the action is. But even ShadowClan, the events there affect the overall plot. But most things in SkyClan affect only SkyClan specifically. Sometimes just Rootspring specifically. Oh no, my dad is embarrassing. Oh no, I fell in ice. Oh no, I'm forced to be a medicine cat for a few days. Now that I think about it, what did happen in SkyClan that affected the overall plot? Nothing that I can think of. Number 3. When presented with the scenario of removing 1 main character from the story, what one could be removed and still have the story make sense? No one, really. But you could understand a lot of it even when Rootspring is not there. If we just changed the story a bit, we could be without Rootspring and no one would know. That's not the case for Shadowsight and Bristlefrost. Remove one of them and the story falls apart. I won't go on more about the Broken Code, it deserves a video on its own. So, just some last thoughts. I think and hope I've made it pretty clear why 2 main characters would be a better option than 3. It will improve characters, improve the story, and overall just add depth. It's too late to change a starless clan, but I hope the story team thinks about this for the next series. Other than that, there's nothing to say. Thank you for watching, I hope to see you next time. Bye!